Hi, and welcome to another episode of Project Management for Small Business. I'm your host, Anthony Pavelich. Today we have with us Dr. Matthew Serrick. He is an evidence-based chiropractor with nearly 10 years of experience in helping athletes, workers, students, and professionals decrease pain, increase their mobility, optimize health, and prevent injury, all the while increasing participation in activities of their everyday life. Dr. Serrick keeps up to date with current research as well as continuing education courses. He does this so he can deliver and you receive the most current and effective treatments for your various ailments and needs. He's also active in his community and has volunteered to raise money for well-known organizations such as the Heart and Stroke Foundation, the Canadian Osteoporosis Foundation. He also competes competitively in volleyball, badminton, and curling, making him no stranger to sports and sport injuries. In the past, he's volunteered with organizations such as Special Olympics, the Canadian Winter Games, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Hi, Dr. Serrick. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're just going to go over a few things about your business, how you've run the projects, where you're at now, where you were when you just first started your business. Give us an overview right now of how your business is, what services you offer, and then we'll kind of get to how you got where you're at.
Yeah, I am a chiropractor and owner of, I would say, a multidisciplinary clinic in downtown Toronto. Right now, we offer a variety of different health and wellness services, primarily chiropractic care. We also offer massage therapy in the office, and we have a naturopath as well as a holistic nutritionist as well. So we have built up a team of skilled healthcare professionals.
I know I've been a patient of yours actually since, well, for many years. I think you were just you in the office at the time when I started.
Yes, that's right.
Coming to you in a different building that is now torn down and replaced by a new building. So when you first started out, how did you ensure that you, for like projects, if you were running a project or if you were starting something new in your business, that you were able to keep track of your tasks, your budget without missing anything? I know it's, for instance, I've interviewed a filmmaker that still does it kind of old school on paper and with paper and files and that, but how did you do it when you first started out?
When I first started, it was maybe a couple of years before I had met you, but I was renting a room in a clinic myself, and it was quite difficult and overwhelming at first, graduating from school, being a new business owner, and then also not particularly having a senior chiropractor to kind of bounce things off of directly in that office because I was the only chiropractor. It was a bit challenging to sort of understand where to get started and what have you. I ended up keeping myself organized through, at that time it was my calendar on my BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry at that time. So I used the calendar a lot on the BlackBerry. And then I was also using a lot of Gmail. So I used Google Calendar. And then at that time, you could link it to your BlackBerry calendar. I thought that was like amazing technology at that time. And so it was a way of me for tracking appointments and that sort of thing. In terms of budget, I come to learn that amongst accountants, bookkeepers, etc., QuickBooks was a program that was widely used and very versatile for helping to organize expenses and what have you. Fortunately, the clinic that I worked at was using QuickBooks. In terms of that, I was using QuickBooks there through the clinic. And in terms of sort of organizing my receipts and stuff like that for the accountant, I mean, I had a shoebox, I think, at home that I would bring them home at that time and throw them in the shoebox. As my practice started to grow and I moved to new locations and I was kind of the only practitioner there, I started to bring some of the tools that I use, but also just doing a lot of research to try and streamline things a little bit more efficiently. So for instance, I moved from a place where I had a reception included, and then it was just myself without reception. So I started to sort of, as my practice grew, I started to run into problems of, nobody's available to answer the phone. Do I want to spend time giving patients reminder calls, etc.? So in terms of things that I did when I moved, I did keep QuickBooks, which did my accounting and invoicing. And then I slowly switched to a online charting not charting. Well, I did do a charting program called Clinico, which did clinical notes. And then I also switched to a different calendar system at that time called Full Slate, which enabled people to book online through my website, and then it would give them reminders and everything else. So the fact that people didn't necessarily need to call to book an appointment, they could do it online on the website, and a lot of people love that. So that's where it started from there. And now in my new office where, we have 3 chiropractors, 3 massage therapists, a naturopath, and a holistic nutritionist, we've migrated over to a new program called Jane, which actually streamlines 3 of the things. So it does the accounting, it does the charting, and it does the scheduling. And that was huge because, when you're working with QuickBooks and you have to enter in stuff there, and then you're duplicating that when you're entering in the charts, and then you're duplicating that when you're putting it in the schedule. Having one program for me that did 3 of some of the major administrative duties was very much a big game changer. And cost-wise, it wasn't that expensive either. Right now, I have a bookkeeper who does a lot of the administrative stuff. She has access to my the clinic, like revenues and invoices and stuff on Jane. She deals with my accountant with regards to that. So I've kind of moved from the shoebox to using other professionals to help me out with some of the budgeting sort of projects and what have you going forward. In terms of sort of specific tasks, I've always tried to be organized. I might have started out with paper and pen a little bit, but I think now I use, I have an iPhone, so I use the Notes app actually quite a bit, and you can even share it with other people. So if I have tasks for my receptionist that I need to do, like they have an iPhone as well at the front, so I'll share my notes with her, and you can create lists that can be checked off. You just have to click the button and it says that it's done. You can create tables. When there has been an update and it's been shared with someone, you get a notification of that. And sort of keeping myself organized, I do, use the note function. But the program that I use, Jane, also has a tasks function as well that gives notification to the front desk. And I do use an abundance of sticky tabs sometimes as well. Just if it's something that needs to be right in my face, then, I do use that to try and stay organized as well.
So it's funny because with the notes, we do our shopping list on Notes. It's great.
We use the shopping list on Notes. That's what I share with my partner.
It's always great because you never know. You can just throw it on there and then it's on the list, and then you can throw it on the list and then you're good to go and you know what you need. So what about the big projects? Like the office move is a huge project. There's a lot of moving pieces to it.
Yeah, exactly.
The remodeling of the new space, bringing in new people. How did you manage something that large?
So that was a pretty big project. I knew a couple of real estate agents and I wasn't really sure what the best sort of, I look online at commercial space that I wanted to move to, but it just seemed like a daunting task, and not knowing, what was fair in terms of rent and, all of that, negotiating with landlords, because, a lot of the big buildings downtown, they are very professionally run. I reached out to my network through a real estate agent, and I actually got a referral to a commercial real estate agent who was sending me listings of commercial real estate in the area that I was interested in. And, they'll ask you things like, what's your budget? What size of space are you looking for, et cetera. And then once you go in and take a look, you're looking at basically how you can arrange the space to meet your needs. When you go into a space, it might actually be exactly the way you want it. For me, I needed an open reception area that I could have, a waiting room and desk and some storage, but then I needed individual treatment rooms. When I looked at the space that I currently am in and walked in, it was about 50% there. There was mostly an open space with 2 offices. So then you kind of have to figure out, and the building that I was in actually, they're used to doing this. Buildings are used to doing leasehold improvements, I believe it is that they call them, where they go in and they change, put up a wall, put in a door, etc., change the floor. when I discuss with them what I wanted, they factor that into the account when you're negotiating your lease. It's either added into the cost but amortized over the term of the lease. So basically, I just kind of had an idea of a look that I wanted. For instance, there was carpet in, the room. I didn't want that. I wanted something a little bit more easy to clean. There's going to be a lot of foot traffic through there. So we opted for laminate flooring. They painted the walls. They put in 2 walls and added 2 doors to create what is now 4 different offices. In terms of that sort of project, so once we had the office space, and the building and landlord itself actually had like their own contractors that do all of the work. Our choices in sort of the nitty gritty things like paint colors and trim colors and floor colors, they had all that. We just kind of had to pick whatever it is that they had to offer. And it was a decent selection. And I'm sure like it's not like the highest quality stuff either, but it is functional and, from my experience, very durable, and it does the job. And they actually did a decent job with all of the contracting work and installing things. So then you have to organize sort of the moving. What's that going to look like when you're in a building? It's always a pain in the butt. You have to look at when can elevators be booked, etc. I mean, a lot of it is contacting landlords, etc., to coordinate that because you want it to go as smoothly as possible. Fortunately, at the time when I moved, I was moving from one room into a bigger office. So I didn't have a lot of equipment. That made it easier. Now I would need to hire a moving truck or a moving company. But at that time, I just needed I think I rented like a U-Haul van. And I think and some friends, and we were done I just had to move a desk, my table, and we were done in like a couple of hours. So that wasn't too bad. In terms of sort of expanding the clinic, there were a couple of different places that I looked for that. And one of the things that I do whenever there's a project, I always reach out to my network. If I'm looking for something in particular, or if somebody knows. So I'm always looking for maybe a referral or something like that.
That's actually a good thing. There's too many people that are afraid to do that. They think like they're going to be in a position to their friends, or they're afraid to ask their friends.
You're bothering them or something like that. Or yeah. I mean, there are things that I certainly wouldn't pull my network for, but there are some things that I think are good. What I did was, so I knew I wanted to bring in other practitioners. I'm moving to a bigger space, nicer location, nicer building in downtown Toronto. The rent is insane.
Yes.
I needed people to share the space. And I knew I was getting busy enough that I knew I had room for another chiropractor for sure. I wanted a massage therapist. And then I was thinking, well, there's another room. We'll see what we can get for there. Turns out it was a naturopath. I contacted the naturopathic college and told them if there's something that they can send out to recent grads or alumni, that there is space here for one of their graduates to practice. And I did actually get quite a bit of interest in that. In terms of chiropractors, one of my patients referred me a chiropractor who she had met in a women's business networking meeting, who she knew was looking for clinic space downtown. And it was so weird because when this person contacted me, it was actually a colleague that I graduated with. So it was kind of like a little bit of a small world kind of thing. So after I had that referral, we're kind of meeting, to kind of discuss the nitty gritty things, what I can provide, what they're looking for, what the style of practice is. A lot of those things were very important to me in determining whether or not they would be a good fit for the clinic. The massage therapist was the most difficult to get. Fortunately enough, there was a massage therapist that was also in my building that their office was shutting down and they needed a new place to go as well. It ended up transitioning that way. And I think that was actually also a referral from somebody in my network as well. I used an ad for the naturopath. Both of the other sort of referrals were kind of networking opportunities.
It showcases the importance of networking because Like you said, the one you graduated with, the other ones, you can trust a little bit from your clients and your friends of what these people's work ethic are like.
Yeah.
So you don't just have to bring somebody blindly in and think, oh, they're going to be good just based on an interview, because sometimes those interviews can be deceiving.
Yes, exactly. I mean, even when somebody is referred, you still want to interview them.
Oh, most definitely.
And with like the profession that we're in, you actually want to get a treatment from them as well, just to see what they're like, how they deal with you. With hands-on professions, I mean, everyone has a little bit of a different preference and what have you. So kind of have to take the treatment itself. It needs to be professional, but you have to keep in mind that some people like deep pressure, some people don't like deep pressure. Like it's a very subjective thing as well, especially when it comes to something like massage. You meet with them, see if the personalities and stuff fit. You can ask them some questions, and then if it's a fit, great. Then you need lawyers, because contracts between professionals need to be professionally done. I mean, I totally value lawyers, but I hate paying a lot of money for lawyers.
Yeah.
So my association, the Ontario Chiropractic Association at that time, had their preferred provider lists. If you're a member of the association, you get like a discount off of lawyer services from this particular firm. I went there and kind of discussed sort of what I needed in terms of a contract for both my massage therapist, the naturopath, as well as the RMTs, 3 different agreements. They helped me out with that process. So that was one of the really good things. And then you're just trying to, now I needed to furnish a newer, bigger office. So, I mean, things started off a bit slow. When you're getting some of the bigger office furniture, I mean, you kind of need to order it a lot in advance and, that sort of thing. I use, Staples they have a lot of business things like chairs and desks and stuff. All of their desks, specifically reception desks, need to be custom made, and those are difficult to get. It takes a few weeks at least to get good solid reception desks. All of these things sort of came about through research, doing either Google searches, Amazon searches, again, asking networks, like, has anybody ever gotten this? There is sort of a professional chiropractors group on Facebook that I'm a part of, that oftentimes people post business type related questions, and people can reply and answer your colleagues as to what their experience was like, or what they've done, or etc. I often do use that. Once I had 3 people hired, I signed that lease in October to the new office space. I think I had the 2 people hired within October itself. And then the massage therapist, I think, started in November, December. And it stayed that way for a while. And then as the clinic got busier, we just started adding more practitioners. And so since then, we've added another chiropractor and 2 more massage therapists.
So when's the next move?
Right now, I'm actually looking for larger space in the same building.
Oh, you really are. It was kind of a joke because you went through it not too long ago, but.
Yeah, it's been 5 years. Time flies.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I renegotiated. So I do have my space that I'm currently in for another 5 years. According to what I've heard, the building, and I would say the landlords in my building and the building office is great to work with. I haven't moved in within the same building, but I've heard that they're very supportive of that if something becomes available, obviously. Right now, there's no availability, so I re-signed my 5-year lease for the current suite that I'm in. But yeah, I mean, I think another move is definitely doable. I could definitely double space that I'm in right now and add a few more rooms. And, there are other kind of services maybe that I'd like to offer my clients. I'd like a little bit of, I think, physio type workout space. It's not going to be big, but just a little bit more of a general sort of exercise demonstration type space.
Sports therapist.
Yeah, I mean, I could have a physiotherapist. There is definitely room for at least one more chiropractic room, because right now the 2 rooms that we're using are pretty maxed out. And people want more time. Like right now, I'm, I guess, the only full-time practitioner at the clinic besides the naturopath. And then, so the other two chiropractors are more along the part-time lines. And, both of them want to pick up more time. But right now, my hands are tied due to space and time constraints. I would definitely add that. There's definitely more opportunity there for massage therapy as well. Because again, 3 massage therapists sharing the same room. I know 2 of them want to be there a little bit more regularly and more full time. More space is what is needed right now, which is crazy considering when I moved to that space, I'm like, oh my God, this place is huge. I'm responsible for all of this right now. I don't see it growing beyond this. Or you kind of think about those big steps as like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing or the most nerve-wracking thing, but I never thought I would get to here.
It's kind of the question that was going through my head, is the fear that you went through moving from the one office to this, and now what, got to have that same angst moving to a larger space, or is it not the same?
I think it's a little bit less. I think if moving within the same building, I feel pretty comfortable. If I was to move my clinic to a different location, I would be extremely stressed out. Even after going through it before, the reality of it not being nearly as bad as what I had in my mind, there is that sort of comfort level. Plus, I really love the building that I'm in right now. I love the location. I really wouldn't want to move, but there would be some of that anxiety of change in status quo for the last 5 years. So anything that kind of changes is a bit nerve-wracking. But, as a business owner and entrepreneur, like, you have to deal with that. You have to persevere through uncomfortable situations a lot, and not just for the growth of the business, but growth professionally as well, because you're kind of wearing the 2 different hats. So I think right now I would tolerate a move within the same building pretty chill, relatively. I would say just regular anxiety around that.
I think it's actually a good point, also a good service that the landlord actually was able to do a lot of the construction and the mods for you. And that's something you didn't have to worry about in the project, to get contractors to make sure everything was done, that they actually did it for you and actually worked it into the price of the contract of the lease.
Yeah, they make it a little bit easier for sure. I think it's definitely a part of their business model for sure, because the building is a business in itself as well. They can get contractors to do it for them. It's a little bit easier. They did, like, in investigating, they will allow you to bring in your own contractors to do the work. And I think I could be mistaken. I would venture to think that a lot of commercial spaces are similar to this, or at least to the caliber of what the northern building is that I'm in. But they kind of get you a bit because they want you to pay. You have to pay their security to be there, like, all of the time to supervise it. So if you're paying your own contractor, you have to pay their security to be there. They make it a little bit more of a hassle to do it without them than they do to do it with them. So it just generally made sense to do it with them, and they did a good job.
They're going to find a way to get some more extra. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they reach out to you? How can they find out more about your business and your services? Give us a couple of places they can contact you.
Well, we have a website. It's www.backandbalanceclinic.com. There it kind of lists a lot of our different services. Even within the chiropractic service, we do offer things like acupuncture, laser therapy, shockwave therapy, custom orthotics. All of our therapists are listed there. You can even book an appointment online. You can also shoot me an email at dr.serrick@backandbalanceclinic.com, or email the reception at info@backandbalanceclinic.com. We're not heavy users of social media, but we do have a Facebook page at Back and Balance Clinic. And as well, there is a business page listed on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everything all the insight that you've given about the business and all the things that you've taken on to take on the new move and build your business. It is, like I said, from when I first started coming, a lot different. It doesn't seem like it's been 5 years, but I guess it has.
Yeah, it's been there. I know, time flies.
Thank you. And I'll be booking an appointment soon.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Project Management for Small Business. Remember, if you want to be a guest, you can reach out at pmforbsb@pavproconsulting.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and remember, if your day starts with a T, it's time for new tips and tricks. Until next time.